Hello, welcome to another episode of Wickham Cottage. Today I am going to show you some quilts because in addition to knitting and stitching, I like to quilt. But I find I don't have as much time for quilting as I used to. And frankly, I don't need any more quilts. But I still love them and I can't resist fabric. I can't resist it like many of you. I see the fabrics on TV and I want them all. And I go into the quilt shop and I want all of that beautiful, oh, just all of it. I want all of it. But I don't buy much. Let me show you what I've got. I wanted to start with this fun quilt. This is one of my favorites. I did it many, many years ago. And can you see the dark cat? It's a tessellation. And if you turn it this way, you can see the light cat. Isn't that fun? This was done many, many years ago, 20 years ago or more. And what it was a mystery quilt, but it had a story too. So you got the instructions. It just said, two contrasting colors, one dark, one light, that sort of thing. And you would sew your little block together, but then there was 5, 6, 7 pages of a mystery. And I don't even remember the mystery, but I think in the end the cat did it. So this one was fun. This one was really fun. It's just a little one. That was what the instructions called for. And I'd always meant to make a bigger one. Never got to it because I saw the next shiny object, right? Now, one of my favorites, I guess they're all my favorites, right? But this is another one that I just love. It's a sampler. Let me turn it over so you can see some of the other blocks. Bigger quilts are hard to film, aren't they? So this was another one that I think it was a sampler. You know what? This was a self-imposed sampler. Every Monday, I think, I tackled another block. And so I sort of did my own thing, but I am a machine piecer, but a hand quilter. So hopefully you can see some of my hand quilting on this. Let's see if I can get another row going. Hopefully you can see my hand stitching because I just think this one I really worked hard on, and it is quilted. I mean, it is really, really quilted. I don't think you can probably see much of it, but every square inch of it is quilted. It's flat, it's nice and warm. It's got a little bit of the poofiness that you get when you launder a quilt, but not too much, I think, because there's so much stitching in there. But that one I did a long, long time ago when I was still new at the hand quilting. One that I did more recently, this was finished, it was started maybe 5 years ago, and I finished it maybe 2 years ago. This one's fun too. Hopefully you're seeing something. The first block that I did was this nice Lemoyne star. I like Lemoyne stars. And what I did was I just outline quilted it. The fabric that I fell in love with was this fabric, this green. Very, very pretty. I think the the fabrics in the Lemoyne Star were fabrics that I had on hand. And then you did this block. I like this one too. Nice edging. This one, I mainly outline quilted everything. I don't know if you can see. So it wasn't heavily quilted. It was just outline quilted because I got back into it. My eyes weren't what they used to be. It was enough to hold it together. And so it's not overdone. Possibly I could have done more quilting, but I think it's fine for my purpose. My purpose is. Then I fell in love with William Morris fabrics. I love William Morris in every capacity. Now, this one has been pinned but not quilted yet. So this is next up on the quilting block, but it is just a 9 patch. So all of them, you know, it fades in and out with the different fabrics. So you can't get a really great overall shot of it, but you can see, aren't those beautiful? Mainly what I wanted was I wanted to be able to sit with this on my lap and gaze at all these beautiful fabrics. I didn't want something that would cut them up too much. I didn't want something that was very easy, you know, just big blocks. I wanted, you know, something of a nice piece, you know. But it's mainly greens and blues, a little bit of cream, a little bit of rust, and cheap tan fabric as a background. This one is going to be utilitarian. Most of my quilts, all of my quilts really, are utilitarian. I make the quilts, I use the quilts. I've given so many quilts away because I want people to use them. I don't sign them. I don't do patches on my backs are always plain. I don't like pieced backs. It's a personal thing. There's nothing wrong with a pieced back. I just hate them. I don't know why. I like a solid back. But yeah, you know, they're meant to be used. And when I give away a baby quilt, what I say is I want nothing of this left. I want it to be in rags. I want a child to love it so much that they drag it everywhere. Now, speaking of children's quilts, what I am quilting on right now is a quilt for she's 6 months old right now. She'll probably get this when she's more like a year. What do you think of this? Do you like it? It is, I guess they call it Puss in the Corner. It's another 9 patch, but these corners are smaller than the middle. I have one that was more extreme. It was very small and a very large one in the middle. This one I like. So it's just they're put on point. And I have this nice section of white in order to do some hand stitched work in the middle. You can see a little spot of blue on there. I use the pens that when you get them wet, they disappear. And what I'm working on right now, I've got all those pieces done. Now I'm going down through the middle. So now I'm just going through the diagonals. I'm going to go both ways. Then what I need to do is find a stencil for these triangular pieces. Something for the border. The border will probably be something floral. And then I'm not sure, what I like to do is take the back and bring it over to the front. They say these are not as sturdy as putting binding on. And because this is a nice white, light pastel front, I don't think I want this bit of dark green. I wanted the dark green on the back. Isn't this great fabric? It's from Joann. I just went in looking for some backing fabric and saw this, and I thought the parents would really, really like this green. And you could throw it on all sorts of surfaces outside, and if it gets a little bit dirty, you're not going to notice it because it's not white. But I think I want white binding. So I think I'm either going to use one of the colors in the quilt or white. But I'm not there yet. I haven't been quilting much lately. I sit down for a day and I get quite a bit done. But being a hand quilter, oh, my hands, it takes a toll on the old hands, doesn't it? Because you're poking through and pretty much stabbing your finger. What I like to tell people is when you stab your finger and it hurts, you know that you're all the way through. So I'm taking little teeny tiny stitches. I use a thimble on my middle finger, and I use a quilt hoop, big wooden quilt hoop. I don't think I would be very useful at a quilting bee because I'm so used to the hoop. I move it around. So, the cat doesn't like sitting on my lap when I'm quilting because the lap is constantly being moved. But if I had to sit in one spot and quilt at different angles, I don't think I could do that. So I use the hoop. It works for me. And thus far, I like my method. I like piecing on the machine. It goes fast. It's enjoyable. I like sitting at my machine. But I also like the handwork. I think I like the handwork more than the machine work. The machine work is great because you've got these fresh fabrics, But I like the tranquility of just sitting and hand stitching. And I like the way the quilts look at the end. I like the very fine stitches. Even though my stitches are not as fine as they used to be, I don't like the more, the larger stitches. And I find that they're not, you can have very, very small stitches. And if they're a little bit crooked, you don't notice them as much as if you've got big stitches that are crooked. So white thread, I use quilter's thread when I'm quilting. I haven't gotten on the 100% cotton boat yet for piecing, but I have some Aurifil. I have ordered some Aurifil. So I have some of that. So the next quilt that I do, I'd like to start using that. And lately I've had a hankering for doing some log cabins. So I have my fabrics, I have my mother's fabrics, and I've got some layer cakes, 2-layer cakes. One is just blues, and the other is from Three Sisters. I love Three Sisters. So I'd like to do something with the Three Sisters. I've also got the Barn Quilt book. So many beautiful quilts in there that I'd like to get to. But I've been doing too much cross stitching and knitting lately. I need to give some attention to my quilting. Maybe that's more of a summer pursuit. I like to do quilting in the summer for some reason. So thank you for watching my quilts, watching my video on my quilts. I've got lots more. I like to keep them up here on this cupboard. Some are upstairs, some are in a closet. And I'll show more. A lot of them are lap size, sort of baby size. I've made my fair share of queen size quilts And I'm not sure if I'll ever do another queen size quilt, to be perfectly honest. I said in an earlier video that I like to quilt my own piece. I like to do all of it because I just don't feel like it's my work if I parcel any out. But I am thinking of doing a queen or king size quilt and enjoying the piecing aspect and then having it long armed. I might go in that direction. If you feel the earth shaking, it means I've sent a quilt off to be long armed. You know, it would be fun to see how that turns out. And frankly, I don't feel like I'm sort of cheating the system, because if I were not to have a king size quilt long armed, I probably wouldn't start making it in the first place. So it is a way of giving a gift to someone and putting your love and effort into it. But you know, when you get to be a certain age, you gotta farm out some of the work, right? So I hope to be doing more quilting videos. You know, I hope to be doing more quilting, I guess. But I'm very old fashioned. I like the old patterns. I've got somewhere along here. Hold on just a sec. I've got another oldish pattern. This is my current utilitarian quilt. Isn't this a fun one? It's like a folded in something or other. You know, like these ends should be out and they should be dark, but they're folded in. I did this one in, as usual, greens and blues and a little bit of lavender. And I started out really, really well, and all my corners were matching. I was doing such beautiful work. And then something happened and things weren't matching up quite in the sewing the entire thing together process. Some of my things weren't, you know, here's a seam, and it's fine. It's not too bad, but I just wasn't happy with it. So it had its batting. It was sewn, you know, to hold it together. Basted is the word I'm looking for. It was basted, and I had just kind of tossed it aside, and the cat was sitting on it, and months went by, and you know, nothing was happening with this quilt that's pretty big, and I like the quilting blocks. So I finally decided, you know, I got to do something with it. So I just outlined again. I outlined each individual. I guess you can see a little bit in the ditch there. I didn't outline it. I quilted it in the ditch. So I did these blocks. Those are quilted. But I didn't do the solid white in between. I put the binding on, and I said, done. I'm going to use it. And I've been using it. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. And if I ever have a hankering to quilt the solid white blocks, I can always do that at a later date. But you know, the old adage, it's better to be done than perfect. This was a quilt that I wanted done because I didn't want to invest the time in it anymore. I had moved on. And so I finished it, and I'm using it, and I love it. And if the cat ruins it, if there's, you know, a flood and I throw it in to sop up water, I don't care, because I didn't invest that much time in it. It's perfectly fine as a utilitarian quilt, and I like that. So you've got your quilts that are valuable to you. Maybe you look at them, you hang them, you look at them, but you don't really use them much. And then there are the workhorses. And I think that a household needs both versions. So I'm rambling again. I say goodbye, I prepare to leave, and then I get on another tangent. So join me again next time. We'll do some more quilting. Maybe I'll start the barn quilt, because that one really looks fun. It really, really looks fun. I think my issue with it is I don't know what fabrics to use. So, isn't that always a problem? So, thanks for visiting me. Have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.